I made the mistake of asking ChatGPT how much money I need to save per month to retire at 65. I'm 28 right now. And the answer was $600 a month.
I just read a statistic that 50% of you between the ages of 55 and 65 have this many dollars to retire. And I thought, oh, man, and that's me, you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So we got a retirement crisis happening in this country, people not saving any money, older people specifically not saving any money. So let's take a look at what's happening and get some more context, shall we?
I want to share something with you guys that I'm a little embarrassed to share, but I think that's always my sign to share it with you, because if I have it, then I think maybe you have it too. I just read a statistic that 50% of you between the ages of 55 and 65 have this many dollars to retire. And I thought, oh shit, man. And that's me, you guys, but it also isn't. My husband works for the government. He just retired young, and he got a second job in order to create a second retirement. So I'm seeing the numbers very real. And I'm successful. I'm a commission salesperson, but I got to be honest with you. Poof, the time went. Poof.
Amen.
I'm like, I haven't done any of that. So I wanted to share with you guys that I just opened a Vanguard account, which I'm drilling into my kids as well right now, that no one drilled into me. It's not too late, you guys. If you look on TikTok on these things, how to open a Vanguard account, how to start, how it compounds at just minimal amount of money every month, minimal or more, whatever you want to do. I have a payment going out twice a month that will compound. In my mid-50s, reasonably for 20 years, how it's going to compound will blow you away. So I wanted to show you the soft underbelly of what I didn't do. You know, statistically, my husband, I should be a survivor in time. But what if I go first? I've done nothing to protect everything that we've built, right? Nothing. So that's my honest truth. Start now. Don't not start because you're like, oh, it's too late. No, it's never too late, you guys. So, all right, good luck.
She was very pleasant. Shout out to 50 is a mind F. I'm not going to say the word, but shout out to her. Very, very pleasant. A side note, why can't more people be like this on TikTok? It's like half the people, more than half, are screaming at you. Just want it's just some peace, you know. But anyway, going back to the problem at hand here. She mentioned a statistic that I thought was very interesting. 50% of people between the ages of 50 and 65 have no money saved. That is obviously not a good thing to hear. It makes sense to some degree considering how the economy has been acting for us. However, in this channel, we don't just complain about the circumstances of the world around us because, let's be honest, things have always been difficult. There's never really been a time where it's been easy. Some could argue against that, and I'll let you argue in the comments, but let's be very honest. It's never easy living life. And I think ultimately we have to look in the mirror when it comes to retirement, when it comes to saving money. And remember, it is a personal responsibility. She even mentioned that in terms of, you know, she was using the words I and not they. And I would assume they in that context should be the government or the economy, whatever the case may be, employers. But she's lucky. She has a spouse that works in the government, probably has a pension, and is having a second job. She has a job as well. And she's now starting to invest, and that's a good thing. But there is this idea happening in the ether, if you will, for lack of a better term, that there is a retirement crisis happening in this country currently because of the cost of living, which we can acknowledge that the cost of living is increasing in some regards. It's going down in some and also increasing in others, or staying high in others. And we have proof and evidence that it probably will increase going forward, considering rates are being cut at the moment. And we'll probably see something akin to the 1970s inflation. With all that being said, young people are starting to have this epiphany of how are we going to save any money? How are we going to retire? Or by the age of 59 and a half, 65. And the question is a legitimate question. And this next video kind of talks about that and gives kind of an idea of what young people are thinking right now.
I made the mistake of asking ChatGPT how much money I need to save per month to retire at 65. I'm 28 right now. And the answer was $600 a month.
Okay, that sounds like a lot, but Most people's car payments are more than that, and people are making it. So continue.
Retire at no way in hell I can do that. So I don't know, like, do I just die? Like, I don't,
No.
what are you supposed to do? You know? I'm not gonna get Social Security. There's no freaking way.
Shout out to Gab with Abby on TikTok. Legitimate questions to ask. Again, I'm always going to fight against the nihilism, like the idea of what if you just die. I will never ever subscribe to that. You have to have hope. You have to be encouraged because, again, we were all living the same lives, pretty much, young people. No one is just balling it up. You can see people on social media, things like that, and they can produce this facade of that. But let's be honest, a lot of it is living on credit. But let's take a look at the facts. So ChatGPT told her to save $600 a month every year from the age of 28 to 65 to be able to retire comfortably. That doesn't sound off, but let's be honest, you don't have to go crazy when it comes to retirement. This is the main thing that I think young people need to think about when it comes to retirement. Just save something. It's not about hitting a specific number that's very high. Like $600, that is not a little bit of money. It's a decent amount of money. And you can, if you really try, siphon that money from other places in your budget and put it into your retirement account if you really want to. And by the way, now would not be a bad time for that, considering the stock market just keeps hitting all-time highs and probably will continue to hit all-time highs because the rates are being cut. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just that when you look at the data, the facts, the history of this, markets tend to go up when rates are cut. So now is not a bad time to invest your money. All that being said, you have to do it yourself. The idea of pensions are gone. You have to work in the government or some very particular employer in order to get that. And pensions were great, but since we've kind of moved off of pensions into more 401k accounts, Roth IRAs, things like that, corporations, they've put it on us, the employees, or just self-employed individuals, to have to invest the money. And that's fine. It's not what I'm sure most people want to do because that it requires you to spend time doing some sort of research on the investments you're making, but just keep it simple. Do something. That's the main thing right now. If you're a young person watching this, or if you're an older person watching this, do something. And I did appreciate what you said at the very end about Social Security. I myself, and if you're an older person, you might hate me for this, but I'm not a big Social Security guy. The idea of paying it and potentially not being able to have access to those funds, it doesn't rub me the right way. I'll say that. I'm much more of I will invest all the cash that I have into a Roth or whatever, into my personal investment accounts, and then hopefully use that to retire in the future. Again, I'm not saying people that are using Social Security are thieves or anything like that. I'm not the type of person that wants older people to be working until they're 70 or 80 years old. I personally hate seeing that. I hate seeing that. Or in this video right now, you can kind of see an older gentleman working at Home Depot pushing carts. I see older people all the time working out like a Walmart or Home Depot like this, and it breaks my heart. I don't want them to be working, and that's just kind of like a soft spot I have for them. Maybe they want to be working there. That also happens. It's not always them being forced to work because they have no money saved, but that does happen often. And let's be honest, there's this idea that retirement is something that's a right. And let's be honest, it's not a right. You have to earn retirement. You have to earn, the ability to take time off. I'm self-employed, so I experienced this at the front end. I had to be diligent with what comes in and make sure that money's being saved because I'm the sole employee. I have to do everything. I'm not working for a corporation. No money is afforded to me. I don't have a paycheck coming in, on the, 18th and the 25th of each month or whatever. It has to be me that earns the money. And I think it's fair to say most people should have that mindset as well. But that's a perfect world that we live in. It's not going to happen. And I will say this. There has recently been a push to, maybe push the retirement age from 59 and a half, being able to access your funds, to even further. And I'm not necessarily on board with that, but this next video kind of talks more about what that is and people's mindsets when it comes to it. So let's take a look.
say the hard things other people won't. We need to talk about raising the retirement age. I don't know why everybody's afraid of raising the retirement age.
Know.
We're working, we're living longer, and we're working longer anyway. And let me be nobody clear. Actually, you know, retires and then goes and jumps on the hammock.
Absolutely not. Stop fucking the millennials and Gen Zers. We're still going through the grieving process of losing the American dream, not even being able to buy a house. Now you want to kick the can down the road and have us work till we're 75? We've been in a building from 9 to 5 since we were 4 years old. We go to school from 4 to 24. Then we thought we were going to work for 40 years, which is already exhausting enough. Now you want to kick the can down till we're 80 years old? We're working 2 jobs. Not because we're going to go buy a lake house or get a pool or go on a vacation. We're working 2 jobs just so we can afford to split rent with another adult. 30s and 40-year-olds are living with roommates because they can't afford shit, working 50 hours plus driving Uber on the weekends, and now you want us to retire later? You know what the politicians are going to do? They're starting to talk about all this shit now. They're going to wait until the final boomer actually retires. Then they're going to want to raise the retirement age so that the millennials and Gen Zs get f***ed because they don't want to lose any votes from the boomer generation. So no.
Shout out to Freddie Smith, FM Smith 319 on TikTok. Big guy on TikTok. Appreciate you, Freddie, for this type of content. This idea is clearly political. There's a lot of anti-boomer content on the internet. A lot of it. A lot of the politicians themselves are boomers. There's individuals like Scott Galloway who, you know, have mentioned things, very interesting ideas that, you know, these individuals that are boomers or boomer age have created legislation to enrich themselves through Social Security and these other to enrich themselves and created legislation to ensure that they are in the best position possible financially. I'm not someone that's for raising the retirement age. I think it just doesn't really make sense because if you've had it at 59 and a half to 65 for this long, why would you raise it now? I don't understand why. I get the idea that people, you know, want to be doing something into their elderly age. Like, I get that. But let people make their own decision doing that. Don't make people wait till they're 70 to have to access their retirement accounts. That to me sounds like icky. Like, why would you do that now? It just doesn't make sense. So hard no on that. With all this being said, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the retirement crisis, in my opinion. There's a lot more videos I want to make about this, as I've said about the other topics on this channel. The main takeaway I want you to go away from this is, if you are old or if you are young, start saving now. Even if it's $10 a month, it doesn't matter. The younger you start, the more earning potential and growth potential it has. And it doesn't have to be into anything crazy, like just put it into some index fund. I'm not going to give you a recommendation on that because I'm not a financial advisor. Use YouTube. There's tons of resources online to do that. It's something you need to do now. Open an account at Fidelity, Vanguard, whatever. Just do it. And you will thank me later. Trust me, because your money is losing value currently as we speak. The dollar is going down in value. We're going back into inflation. In order to protect your money from those things, it has to be in some sort of account that's going up with the stock market. And there's other ways to protect yourself, you know, in other assets, hard assets, buying houses, things like that. And that's just a whole different ballgame. But when it comes to retirement, you know, there is a real crisis happening with young and old people, specifically young people, because I feel like there's a lot of young people thinking, how can I even retire when I can barely save any money at all to begin with? But that's where we have people like Dave Ramsey, and you might cringe hearing that name, but follow steps like his because they do teach you fundamentals. And when you have good understanding of fundamentals, you will have the ability to grow your wealth over time. So that's my take on the retirement crisis. We'll talk more about this in another video. But if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like it, leave a comment. If you're experiencing anxiety or retirement, whether you're young or old, please let me know. Start a conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, please subscribe. We got more videos just like this coming down the pipeline on a weekly basis. If you want to watch more, click the one floating around my head here somewhere. And until next time, stay safe. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.